is How to Read Nonfiction, and this is a grade for you. So please make sure there should be plenty of time left in the class period today to get this done. So please do it carefully. Where you need to write in sentences, I expect good, carefully written sentences with capital letters and periods. It is a grade. Now, you will probably want to set up a split screen where you can have the video to one side and this document to one side. So you can do something like this, and let me see if I can find, let's see if I can do, so something like this where you would have the video over here and the document over here. Okay. So I will be running through the PowerPoint and you will be filling in notes on fact and opinion, summary, author's purpose, and author's viewpoint. And you'll be doing practices along the way. All right, so let's get going. I will switch over here to the PowerPoint. So how to read nonfiction. Strategies to help you become a more effective reader. So why do we need to learn to read nonfiction? On average, kids spend 4 minutes a day reading nonfiction and 4 hours a day watching TV. And I bet that's changed. I bet that is screen time is more like that, not just TV. Reading nonfiction builds background knowledge, and we've talked about the importance of background knowledge when you're reading. That's why we make a prediction when we do our homework. And the third bullet there says, studies show the more background knowledge you have, the more successful you are overall. So this nonfiction builds that background knowledge. So that's one reason we read it. All right, what makes these statements different? Forensic science is science that is used to solve crimes. Forensic science is very interesting. How about these two? Approximately 1/3 of all murders go unsolved. It is unfortunate that 1/3 of all murders go unsolved. How about these two? A digital footprint is information about a person based on their online activity. The government should not be able to look at what people do on their personal devices. So can you tell what's different about the statements on the left from the statements on the right? Eyewitness testimonials were used in 70% of wrongful convictions. Forensic science is better and more accurate than eyewitness testimonies. So what I hope you notice is that the ones on the left were facts and the ones on the right were opinions. So what's the difference between a fact and an opinion? Facts are statements that could be true or false. For example, Key Middle School is located in Springfield, Virginia. Now, it doesn't matter if the fact is true or the fact is false. If it is a fact, if it is something that you can prove or disprove, it's going to be a fact. It could be a wrong fact, but it's a fact. On the other side, on the right side, we had opinions. Opinions are a statement that expresses judgment or ideas. It shows what someone believes or thinks. For example, Key Middle School is the best school in Virginia. Okay, I would like you to stop this video now. I would like you to raise your hand and ask Mrs. Riggs for a fact and opinion sheet. I want you to complete the sheet with this computer tipped down. When you're finished, you can give it back to her and then come back to this video. Are you finished? Okay, then we are going to go on. So, determining main idea and summary is our next topic. Why is it important? This is the key to understanding what you're reading. It's stopping and saying, what is this about? And can I tell you in just a sentence or two? So what is a summary? We've talked about this throughout the year, but it's time to really get this down. A summary is the topic, just 1 or 2 words is the topic, plus the main idea statement. We've been talking about that. That's a complete sentence. Plus the important supporting details. That equals a summary. Go ahead and make sure that's filled in on your paper. A topic is who or what the reading passage is about. It is the subject of the text, and it is usually 1 or 2 words. Make sure this is filled in your document. You can often determine the topic before you begin reading if you look for clues. So we talked about this in class. This is like making the prediction. Read your title, look at your pictures, look at your subtitles. Just looking at the document, you can usually make a prediction about the topic. Main idea. Again, make sure this is on your practice sheet. A main idea is what the author is saying about the topic. Usually a complete sentence is what we're looking for. And we ask you to continue to look for clues in the document, whatever you're reading. Usually we've talked about where do we find the main idea? Usually at the beginning or the end. But sometimes it's not there, and you need to take your best guess and say, what is the whole passage about? All right, again, make sure this is on your document. Supporting details are the evidence the author used to prove the main idea, the most important, not necessarily the most interesting, and there's usually more than 1 supporting detail. So that's the third part of a summary. To find supporting details, you must read the text carefully to determine the most important details. We also talked about the fact that you may have to read nonfiction more than 1 time. It is difficult often. It's often about science or history or animals or something. So you have to read it a couple of times to determine what's important. So again, this is on the notes. Please put this down as a review. Summary includes topic, main idea, and supporting details. Okay, our next topic is author's purpose. And I'm not going to give you, let me go back. I'm not going to give you examples of summary right now because we've been practicing summary in the homework. We've been practicing summary a little bit and main idea with internal organizational patterns, so we're not going to worry too much right now about examples. So our next topic for reading nonfiction is purpose, author's purpose. Why did the author write this? It's important that you, as a mature reader, ask yourself, why am I reading this and why was it written? And I think you probably have seen this. To remember the author's purposes, just think about PIE. P-I-E. Persuade, inform, or entertain. Now again, make sure you're filling this in on your document. Persuade. Persuasive essays. We're going to read some persuasive essays a little later in the year, not so many right now, but is the author trying to get you to believe something or do something or buy something? Advertisements and editorials. Those are all persuasive pieces of writing. Informative pieces of writing include expository essays, which is what you're going to write, directions of any sort, encyclopedias, magazine articles. There's all sorts of things that are inform. Anything that was written to give you information. And the third author's purpose is to entertain. You read novels, graphic novels, comic books, short stories, movie scripts, anything that you read for entertainment. Okay? Why is it important? It's particularly important to know if a text is meant to persuade. Why? Well, you want to know if somebody's trying to make you do something or buy something. You should be in control of your own thoughts, right? Okay, let's try some practices. I'm going to go ahead and tell you to stop this video and go ahead and do these practices. and tell me if it's persuade, inform, or entertain, and maybe highlight some words. Follow the directions on the worksheet. Stop the video now. Our last topic is author's viewpoint. Hopefully you got those done. I'll go over them in class next week, okay? But author's viewpoint, this is a little bit different. You may not have looked at this. So an author's, and make sure you're putting this in your notes, an author's bias or perspective towards a topic. And the word bias means subjectivity toward the topic that affects the validity of the information. In other words, how an author feels about a topic affects if the information can be trusted. Can you trust the author or not? Objective versus subjective. Something that's objective is facts. Something that is subjective is someone's opinion. Okay? Does the author have a positive, negative, or neutral viewpoint on the topic? That's what you have to ask yourself, especially in persuasive writing. What is this? And again, this is an important part of reading nonfiction. Do I understand why the author is writing, and do I understand where they're coming from? Do they support this topic? Are they against this topic? Or are they just giving me facts? Informative text should just have a neutral viewpoint. They should just be giving you facts. And for the most part, that's what we're going to be reading in the next couple of weeks. But persuasive text, which is our next unit, they may have a positive in favor of or a negative viewpoint. Make sure these are in your notes. Okay, detective statement. We have not found a match to the DNA found on the safe. However, fingerprints on the handle of the side door match those of the defendant. 2 sets of footprints were found on the property. That's a detective statement. Think about a court case. Now the defendant is the person who's being accused of the crime. This is all a misunderstanding. I was just searching for my lost dog, and I thought I heard a noise, so I wandered up toward the house. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. This evidence does not put me at the scene of the crime. I'm innocent. And then we have the prosecutor. The prosecutor is the lawyer who's trying to put the defendant to prove that the defendant is guilty. And that person might say, the defendant was clearly watching at the side door as his partner in crime broke into the safe. 2 men were witnessed wandering the property by the next door neighbor. The defendant is guilty. Now, why do these 3 authors view the same crime differently? Can you answer that question? Answer it in a good sentence. How does bias frame the viewpoint of each author? Stop and think about what each person wants. Are they positive? Are they negative? Are they neutral? And why? Okay? So take a stab at that, and we'll go over it next week, but I want you to think about it and write it on your notes. You can stop the video. And once you've done that, maybe you should also maybe highlight some of the words that show the positive and the negative and the neutral, okay? Once you finish this, you are good, and you could go do some practices and know red ink. See you next week.